gas cars are back. Ford's CEO just shut down their EV production, leaving the entire industry in disbelief and all the enthusiasts jumping for joy. He thinks EVs are killing the middle class, and the only way to stop political leaders from forcing EVs so hard is to straight up shut them down. Seeing a loss of more than $4 billion in a single year, having to fire thousands of local employees, recalling hundreds and thousands of vehicles due to issues, this is just the tip of the iceberg for Ford's EV problems. Why are EVs not selling? Could Ford be shutting its doors? EVs have been secretly doing more harm than good, and if you don't believe me, watch this video very carefully. Here's what exactly happened. Ford just made a massive U-turn, shocking the entire car industry. They just shut down the production of their best-selling EV pickup to fight the evil politicians pushing costly electric cars upon us. CEO Jim Farley just announced that they're shutting down F-150 production at their Dearborn, Michigan factory. But the real reason why Ford has to do this might make you never want to buy an EV. I'm going to expose 5 shocking reasons later in this video, and one of them has even led to people dying due to EV unreliability. So let's start with the hero of our story, the public and the EV market that's now crashing hard. On the other side, we've got the villain, initially Ford itself, and of course, the government, who pushed EVs like they were the only future we had. Now, our journey begins with Ford happily making internal combustion engine cars. But then along comes the government waving the EV flag, claiming it's the future. And Ford had to go all in. Joe Biden set such difficult emissions norms that it was impossible to meet them without selling a whole bunch of EVs. But he didn't care if they were ready or not. But here's where the plot thickens. Despite all the government pushing, customers straight up hate EVs. Literally. Ford's EVs, especially the F-150 Lightning, were supposed to be the next big thing. But guess what? They weren't selling. Dealerships are like ghost towns with over 90,000 EVs gathering dust. And Ford isn't the only company facing this threat. General Motors is also having the same problem, but unlike Ford, this happened to them due to their very own CEO, and more on that in a minute. Even the dealers spoke out loud and clear in an open letter to President Biden. We're not ready for this EV future. And Ford, they were left holding the hot potato. It was a disaster. Ford is now losing money to the tune of $36,000 lost on each EV sold. Can you believe that? And it wasn't just Ford. The entire EV market is in chaos. As a result of the shutdown, about 1,400 workers at the Rogue Electric Vehicle Center, where the Lightning is built, are facing the music. Half of them will be moving to a nearby plant, increasing production for the gasoline-powered Ford Bronco and Ranger models. Now, let's talk about the elephant in the room, Ford's recalls. They've recently recalled 35,000 Mustang Mach-E EVs because of a battery issue that could result in a loss of driving power. This followed a previous recall of 49,000 Mach-E vehicles. It's like a nightmare that keeps repeating. But Ford's woes don't end there. They've been the top automaker for recalls in the US for the last 2 years. That's a record no one should want. In 2022, they issued 68 recalls, affecting over 8.7 million vehicles. And the year before that, 53 recalls for 4.5 million cars. The cost? A staggering $4 billion just to cover warranty costs. Oh, and by the way, the only company that warned us about this happening a year ago, Toyota, is doing something completely different, which I'll cover in a minute. Customers like Texas-based Lightning owner Justin Esquivel are feeling the burn. His $90,000 EV truck has been sitting idle for months now. The company's quality issues aren't new. They've had their fair share of problems with new vehicle launches, and the EV shift is just adding fuel to the fire. Nearly every new Ford released recently faced costly recalls. So what does Ford do? They pull the plug on EV production, smartly. That's right, Ford CEO Jim Farley said enough is enough. They realized that their customers still wanted ICE cars, the good old gas guzzlers. Now, let's talk about other big companies. First up, we have General Motors. The scene here is even more dramatic, with over 1,000 workers fired in a week, and financial chaos everywhere you look. At the center of this storm is GM CEO Mary Barra, whose decisions are raising more than a few eyebrows. Mary's strategy? Focusing on luxury EVs, ignoring the needs of the common man. She believes that cheaper EVs under $30,000 won't ever be profitable, so why bother? GM also killed its plan to build 400,000 cheap EVs by 2030 and scrapped their partnership with Honda completely. Their cars are some of the most unreliable ones out there, with hundreds of reports concerning software glitches, problems with the vehicle's braking system leading to accidents, and poor interior quality despite the hefty price everyone is having to pay. Okay, we get it, man.